Welcome back. I want to start today by busting a myth. The myth is that self-care is selfish. That if you take time to rest, if you set aside space for yourself, you are somehow letting your team down or not working hard enough. And the truth is, self-care is not selfish, it is a strategy. It is the fuel that makes leadership sustainable. And the leaders who learn to thrive personally are the ones who actually lead better, longer, and with more impact. So today we are going to look at 4 different things. First, what burnout does to leadership performance and how to reframe self-care as a leadership investment, and some practical strategies for the physical, emotional, spiritual, and relational well-being, and how you can model self-care so that your team feels permission to do the same. So if we start out, what does burnout do to leadership performance? Let me ask you a question. Have you ever tried to lead on an empty tank? Maybe you've stayed up too late preparing for a big meeting or went weeks without a break because of back-to-back deadlines. You still showed up, but you weren't at your best. And that is what burnout looks like in real time. You are present, but not fully engaged. You snap quicker, you struggle to think creatively, and your team feels the difference, even if they don't admit it to you. And burnout has been called an epidemic in leadership. A survey found that 77% of professionals have experienced burnout in their current job, and almost half said that they feel burned out often. Now, it doesn't clarify how often, but often is too often. That is not just an individual issue. Burnout can spread, and when a leader is depleted, it is going to ripple through the entire team and be like a cancer to the team. And so I had once worked with a director who was incredible at her job. She cared deeply about her people and had a track record of success, but after months of running nonstop, she started forgetting the details, started showing up late to meetings, or losing her patience a little too soon with the very people that she used to champion. And we all noticed, and the morale started dipping, turnover went up, and it all traced back to the fact that she was running on fumes. So the point I want to make is burnout is not just about you being tired. It damages culture and performance and trust. So we have to reframe self-care as a leadership investment. If burnout drains leadership, then the opposite is also true. When you invest in your own well-being, everyone benefits. Think about professional athletes. No one questions why an athlete takes time to rest or recover or train smart. We understand that they cannot perform at their best if they are depleted. And leadership is no different. Just like your muscles need to rest so that you don't overtrain them, you need to rest so that you can be a good leader. When you rest, you eat well and recharge, you're not taking time away from leadership. You're not being selfish. You are actually fueling it. And self-care sharpens your decision-making. It increases your emotional intelligence and it helps you inspire others. And so let me share a story. Indra Nooyi, a former CEO of PepsiCo, often spoke about how demanding leadership was and how easy it was to neglect her own needs. And so she credited her ability to sustain leadership over the long haul to being intentional about her health, her family, and her inner life. She said that when she was thriving personally, she had more patience, she had more clarity, and more vision to lead her company through big changes. And that is the mindset shift that we all need. Self-care is not a retreat from leadership. It is an investment in your ability to lead well. Let's talk about some practical strategies. How do we actually do this? I like to think of self-care in 4 different buckets. We have our physical well-being, our emotional well-being, our spiritual aspect, and our relational aspect. Our physical side is your body is an engine, prioritizing sleep, eating the foods that give you energy, and moving regularly. Even a 10-minute walk can reset your focus. And studies show leaders who exercise regularly report higher energy and better stress management. And then our emotional well-being, this is about paying attention to what you are carrying emotionally. And whether it's journaling, therapy, or coaching can help you process the weight of leadership. You cannot lead others well if you are burying your own emotions because you're carrying way too much. And then our spiritual well-being, for some that looks like prayer or meditation. For others, it's reflection and gratitude, which is great for everyone, or practices that connect you to something bigger than yourself. This keeps you grounded and gives meaning to the work. And then relationally, people in leadership can feel lonely and build and maintain those relationships that refill you, not just drain you. Whether that's family or friends or peer mentors, you need people around you who remind you of your worth outside of your title. And so here's the key. Self-care is not a spa day once a year. It is daily rhythms, it's small practices, and consistent choices that keep you thriving. So how do we model self-care for our team? If we talk about how this shows up in our leadership, because if you practice self-care quietly, but never let your team see it, you miss the chance to shape culture. Leaders set the tone. If you send emails at midnight, your team thinks that they have to do the same. If you never take a vacation, your team assumes they cannot either. And I know this personally in my own example. I was that leader. I was working 70, 80 hours a week. I was exhausted. I was coming in an hour before everybody else. And then people would start showing up earlier and earlier. And then I would stay later than everybody else. And all of a sudden, more and more people were staying later and later, feeling like that was just the expectation because that's what the leader was doing. Leaders set the tone. And so if you model healthy boundaries, your team learns that it is safe to do the same. Take your vacation. End the meetings on time, please. Talk openly about the practices that help you stay grounded. I know one leader who made a rule for herself. She would leave the office at 5:30 to have dinner with her kids, and she told her team why. She still worked hard and she worked all day long, but she let them see her priorities. And the result was her team started feeling permission to prioritize their own families too. And the morale actually improved because they feel like their life isn't just their work life, their home life matters too, and having that balance. And so that is the ripple effect. When leaders thrive, teams will thrive. And so if we just land this, burnout drains leadership, it clouds your judgment, hurts your relationships, and damages your culture. And self-care is not selfish. It is an investment in your leadership. When you thrive personally, you make better decisions, you inspire more trust, and you lead with clarity. The strategies are simple but powerful. Care for your body, tend to your emotions. It's so important. Stay spiritually grounded and nurture life-giving relationships. And most importantly, model those practices so your team sees what healthy leadership looks like. And here's the big idea. Thriving personally is not optional. It is the strategy that sustains leadership. So thank you for joining me today. And if this episode encouraged you, share it with another leader who may need this reminder too. And if you want to go deeper, reach out to me. I would love to walk with you on this journey called life. And until next time, just remember, taking care of yourself is one of the most powerful leadership moves that you can make.